Hi, my name is Nancy,
Hi, my name is Arlene.
and we're environmental educators here at the Greenbelt. In today's program, we're going to talk about polar animals and animals in winter and how they survive. But we're going to start out with some of the animals that live here in the Greenbelt.
And the Greenbelt has lots of different animals in the forest. And can anyone here tell me an animal that they think they might see in the forest? Oh, chipmunks. Yes, that's right, Jimmy. And what other animals? Oh, that's right, Sally. We have deer, lots and lots of deer, and also some squirrels. And now I think Nancy's going to show us some other animals that might live here too.
Hi, again, we're going to talk about some of the local animals here in the Greenbelt by reading this book called Footprints in the Snow by CYNTHIA Benjamin, illustrated by Jacqueline Rogers. Winter snow falls. Winter wind blows. Someone hops. Who is that? Wow. Home. It's a rabbit. It's an eastern cottontail rabbit that lives in a den under the ground. Somebody runs. Home. Look at these deer. They use the trees like an umbrella to keep the snow off of them.
Which deer are they? Is there a boy deer there? A buck?
Oh yes, there's a buck with antlers, and there's the doe. I don't think the fawns are born yet. They're born in the spring, the baby deer. Somebody swims. Wow, who lives in the water?
Fish?
In this little house here.
Think there's fish?
Look. Well, there's fish, but they don't live in a home. Here's inside their home, they're beavers. And we do have beaver in parts of the Greenbelt. And they're nice and cozy. Look, they swim under the water and they go back inside their lodge. Keep nice and cozy. Somebody races home. Wow, it's the red fox. And that's their den too. Somebody flies home to a hole in a dead tree. It's the great horned owl. Somebody hurries home. Oh, it's our gray squirrel. Somebody scampers home. Tiny, tiny mouse. Aw. And two mouse is a mice, right? Somebody walks home, and who is that? Yes, you and I. And humans. The end. So now that we know about the Greenbelt animals, we're going to go take an imaginary trip to far off places where it's very cold. And since it's very cold, I want to ask you, what do you do to keep warm? Is there something that you wear? That's right, a hat, a coat, maybe some boots. I think we need to take these along on our trip. What do you think, Arlene?
I think
She's going to show us where we're going to go.
Okay, right now we're here. And this over here, the blue, of course we know is the water, and this is the land. And this we know is a globe, or the earth, and it shows us the different places on earth. And we're going to travel now up to the white area, which is the snow area. So on our travel, we have to make sure we're nice and warm, so that when we step out onto the snowy, cold, icy Arctic region, we'll be able to look and find some fascinating animals that make their home up in the North Pole or the Arctic region. So Nancy, what do you have as some of the animals that you might be able to see up there?
I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you could see that well enough, but that's one of the animals that you might see. Wow, it's tough seeing that, isn't it? It might run by us.
Yeah. It blends in with its background.
What do you think it is?
Does anyone want to guess? Look, Nancy's showing you a picture of who it might be.
It's an Arctic fox. And you'll want to know that it's the color white, just like the snow. So it's really difficult to see. And we call that camouflage, when an animal is combined in its background, so it's hidden, so you can't really see it.
Oh, so who else do we have? Oh, I have somebody here. Oh, and who is this? Turning his head, and with the white and all these little spots on it. And there's the picture of him. And we know this is the snowy owl. And the snowy owl, of course, blends in with its background. And I think one time it made its way down from the Arctic region to Staten Island. So it's a bird. It has feathers and it can fly all the way down to Staten Island if it wants to. Anybody else, Nancy?
And the feathers keep it warm.
Yes, it's like its own coat.
Here's another animal. Can you guess what this one is? It is white when it's a pup, when it's young, and it turns dark brown when it gets older. That's right, it's a seal. It's a pup seal. And again, it's white because it's hard to see in the snow, and that protects it. So it's hidden when mom or dad go out to get something to eat. And if you notice, it has flippers because it spends a lot of time in the water swimming.
So now we're looking at this animal. Can anybody tell me what animal this would be? Oh, Mary, you're right. It's a bear. It's a polar bear, and it's actually a polar bear cub. It's a baby. And look how big it is. So can you tell me who's taller, me or the baby cub? Yes, I am taller than the baby cub. And Nancy, what do we have on the baby cub and the polar bears?
Here's a polar bear family, and they're all snuggled up in the snow. And since the adults obviously are a lot larger, right here we have a really special thing for you to see. This is a polar bear skull. It's not a real polar bear skull, but it gives you an idea how big its head is, and it has very large, sharp canine teeth because it is a carnivore and it does eat meat. Pretty big, huh? I'm talking about big, wow. We have something else here on the table. It's a replica of the bottom of a polar bear foot. You see the toes here? We don't have the claws, but it has pads that help it to rip onto the snow so it doesn't slide all over. Maybe we can compare our hand to the size of the polar bear's foot. Wow, is the hand larger than the polar bear's paw? No, I think the polar bear's got a larger paw than our hand. So how does the polar bear survive in the cold Arctic zone? How does it keep warm? Does it wear a coat? Sort of. It's got a coat of hair. And underneath the hair, underneath the skin, is something called blubber. It's like fat that helps keep the bear warm from the cold air. Almost if you put a mitten on, you won't feel the cold air on your hands.
So now we're getting back on the plane. We're leaving the Arctic region where it's cold, and we're traveling to someplace past North America, past the equator, past South America, all the way to the bottom where it's very cold, even colder. And this is the Antarctic region. And in the Antarctic region, we know that there's some special type of bird that makes their home in that region. And that bird is a penguin. And penguins do not fly, but they can walk on the cold ground, and they can swim really, really fast in the water. Penguins are birds, so penguins have feathers like these all over their body. That helps to keep them warm. So there's lots and lots of tiny little feathers that cover the whole body of the penguin. But underneath the feathers, there's something else that's called blubber. And blubber and the feathers help the penguin to stay nice and warm. This is an adult coloring of a penguin, which is the black and the white. But when it's a baby chick, it has gray and white. And then it molts and loses its feathers, and this is the feathers that you see on an adult. We know that penguins are birds, so where do birds start out? They start out as eggs. You're right, this is a replica of a penguin egg. And the penguin egg, the mommy lays the egg, and the daddy takes the egg and covers it to keep it nice and warm until it hatches. And then you have the baby penguin. Now, penguins come in all different sizes. Some of them are really, really small. They're called little blue penguins. They're about the size of a chicken. And then in Antarctica, because there are some penguins that live only in the southern hemisphere, in the bottom part, below the equator, but then we have this huge penguin that lives in Antarctica. Look how tall this penguin is. This penguin is called the emperor penguin. And the emperor penguin is about 4 feet tall, weighs maybe about 70 pounds. And this penguin, do you think that the penguin is taller, or am I taller than the penguin? You're right. That's right, the penguin is not taller. I'm taller than the penguin. But still, this penguin is one of the tallest penguins in the world. And if you went to Antarctica, you would walk right up to it and see how tall it really is.
Okay, so let's get back on our plane and we're going to go back home. I know you had a great time. I know I did too. So from the Antarctic, we're going to go all the way back. Here we go. Past South America, the equator, and to North America, New York and Staten Island. Woo! And we got off, and here we are in the Greenbelt. And we want to thank you for coming on this fun journey with us. And we hope that we see you again.
Bye now, everybody. Bye.